Good morning, everybody, and happy Sunday morning to you. I'm Nighthawk, one of your hosts. I'm coming on now. I'm a little late from the original time, but I'm a lot early from the time I estimated. So that being said, it's been one of them mornings. But happy birthday to all those beautiful babies that were born today. From 0 to 196. And if you're 196 going on 197, I want you on this show. Okay, because you are a biblical miracle. Okay, so let's get into the thick of things here. Let me do the copyright disclaimers and all that. This channel may use some copyrighted materials without specific authorization of the owner, but contents used here fall under the Fair Use Act of copyrighted of 1976, okay, which include fair use for purposes such as criticism, commentary, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, research, and general knowledge only, okay? So that being said, Nighthawk High Strangers podcast channel and all the podcast and all the hosts do declare fair use of any and all content, that's any and all content, including the music, to be used for the sole purpose of informing you, the viewing family, of information for educational purposes, general knowledge, commentary, parody, teaching, scholarship, research, news reporting, only per Title 17 USC subsection 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, called the Fair Use Act. All right. Furthermore, Nighthawk High Strange's podcast channel uses the UCut app and Splice app for all of its advertising music and advertising needs, because it's free. And free is good in today's society, trust me. Free is very good. All right. Let me take this down so you can see my bright, shiny face this morning. All right, here we go. Yes, I got my combat gear on. It's been one of them mornings. Okay. So it's been a knuckle busting morning. Okay. But at least I got my hot cup of coffee with me. And I got some friends in the chat, and I'm going to go to there right now and say hello to them. Let me put this up, though, so we can remind everybody to please like, heart, and share, and subscribe. You know, it means it means a lot to me, but it means a lot to the other hosts of these, podcasts that are on here. Grandmaster G and Big D, it means a lot to them. Okay. So, if you can, please subscribe and follow us, on Facebook and all that, because it does help, I mean, we're not even close to the point where we make any money at this. So, and, when we do, I'm going to be, helping out the other hosts and stuff. And, we're going to start like a fund to help out people that are in need for emergency funds for like natural disasters or homelessness or that kind of stuff is what I want to do. So we're really planning on going full circle with this whole channel. So we want to give back just as much as we have received, and believe me, I thank everybody for all their blessings with my medical, GoFundMe and all that. That's greatly appreciated. So, thank you all very much for that. But I'm going to get into the chat and say hello to everybody real quick before we bring Dawn. And I think G's going to be here today. So, wow, there's a lot on already. I guess everybody's saying hello to everybody. Okay, let's see. We have first in the house, Boone Creek Charms. Beautiful day to all my fellow night watchers and Nighthawk warriors. Okay. And we got Tombstone. We got Stuart. Good morning, guys. Good morning. Good day, Tomb, to where you're at. It's probably good night there. Irene, good to see you. Country Boy Conversation, good to see you. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Scott, good to see you. I got your email, so thank you very much. We got that out to you tomorrow. Let's see. Who else we got to chat? We got Gemini Moon. Yes, good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Good morning. So glad I'm right now. Wait a minute here. Let me read this. I'm right now. Just want to say hi. Yes, I'm driving up the beach. Thanks for keeping me company. Oh, must be nice to have the beach life. What do you say, Ray? What do you think, Ray? You think the beach life would be fun or the jungle life? I think Ray's old school. I think he'd take it any way you can. So let's see. We've got Melissa. Good morning, Melissa. She's probably out back hiding the body of her beloved David. Cynthia, good to see you. GZ87, good to see you on here. Good to see you. All right. Beth Allen, good to see you. Larry Hart, good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Been a long time, Larry. Okay, let's see. I think that is it. I think that's everybody. What's really out there? That's got to be Robbie. Let's see. Did I miss anybody? If I miss them, oh, there's Juno. Good to see you, brother. Oh, Bill, good to see you. Let's see. I guess that is everybody. I don't see any new names coming up. If I did miss anybody, I'm sorry, but I'm old. The eyes are going, that kind of a thing. So let me go ahead and take this picture down so you're not blocking our view of our bright, shiny faces. And I'll take this picture down, and we'll get Dennis on here, and we'll say hello.
Good morning, sir. We've talked about this before, but William, you're going to have to cut back on those wild late night parties, okay? You're just getting too old for this, okay?
It's pretty sad on a Sunday morning. I've got to put my combat gear on. So that's pretty sad. Those days are coming, brother. Everybody's going to have to do that. Those days are coming. So things have to get done.
Yeah. Some mornings, you're really not coming awake. You're like coming back from the dead, I mean. I've had mornings like that, I know. Yeah.
Yes, sir. It's like coming back from the dead, all right. That is for certain. We all had a rough night. And, poor Tracy, she got peppermint oil in her eye. And it started burning her last night. And
oh god,
so she had to get up and and rinse her eyes out and her face out and her hair out, and it was all over the place. So yeah, anybody knows anything about peppermint oil, it'll burn you. So
I've been pepper sprayed, so I know how I feel. Yeah, we have to do that in law enforcement. We used to pepper spray each other just to see how I feel. It's not fun, definitely not interesting. I tell you what, the thing about that is when you get something on you like that, you can't get it off. I mean, it just, it's
it's
hard
an
to get
oil.
off.
Once it sets in, once it sets in, it's not good. But yeah,
tear gas.
Yeah. So and then we had to run to the store this morning real fast because we were out of literally everything, and we're driving back, and she's got her window down with Jacob on her lap, and all of a sudden you hear this thwack, and here this big old bug decided to hit the upright post on the passenger side window, bounced
Good Lord.
in the window, and lodged in her hair, and
Good.
she had to fight to get the thing out of her hair, and
Oh Lord.
it was a nightmare.
It sounds like the forces out together. We need to pray for her, definitely. It's hard to work on her here.
It was just one of them mornings, one of them nights, So it
Yeah.
happens,
This is
You get those.
This is the season for the. You remember the June bugs we used to call them, coming out.
Yeah.
They're really scarabs, by the way, like the Egyptian scarabs, only the different breed, different species, but they're very much like Egyptian scarabs. Oh, there's that old guy that hangs around here all the time. Hey, what's going on, brother?
Nothing.
Okay, here's the deal, guys. Here's the deal. From now on, G, you're Grandmaster G, and Dennis, you're Heavy D.
Oh,
he ain't heavy. He's my brother.
I get the heavy load here.
Anyways, we left off yesterday. Pretty interesting conversation yesterday. If anybody was listening, and I know a lot of people were in the chat talking about it, but the black-eyed kids and that whole scenario is really, really interesting subject. But let's take it one step further. Let's go beyond that. Just if you guys can discuss some kind of a relation that the black-eyed kids would have to, say, maybe the melon heads, or the Dover demon, that kind of stuff. Is there some kind of similarities that you guys would see other than a mutation?
Well, looking back in the past, guys, there's been a lot of experimentation on kids. You remember back in the 50s and 60s, they pumped up a lot of kids with vaccines and all kind of stuff. They had all kind of tests going on. It would not surprise me if definitely this stuff is government related. We do know the government does that. Not just our government, but the governments all over the world have done that with children. Children.
Right.
Here's the that really gets me, because I think there's a special place in hell for people that do things to children and animals. I don't like that. I don't really like that at all. It's bad enough when you do it to grown people, but it kind of ramps it up for me when the kids and animals are involved like that. And I don't like this experimentation of kids and animals, especially animals too. We know a lot of lab animal stuff that's going on. But what about the lab animals that are human beings? We got to think about that possibility too.
There we go. Heavy D.
Heavy D. I've lost some weight. Okay. But anyway. But you could be looking at some possible output of some human lab rats here. Guinea pigs or whatever name you want to put on them. That's a possibility.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. What do you think, G?
I don't know. I always think the black-eyed children are something, whether they're dimensional or spiritual or whatever they are. I mean, there's definitely something mischievous and, I don't know, downright evil about the way they look and act.
I agree. They're more demonic. To me, my feeling on it. They're downright demonic to me. And their very demeanor is that way. And some of these grown people that are supposed to be associated with them. That's a very interesting part of the subject of black-eyed kids, and you don't hear too many people talk about. But a lot of times these so-called adults that are with them What's going on with that? Are they supervisors or demonic supervisors or what? What's going on with that? We do know that demons do not have children like that. But here's an interesting aspect, and I've been thinking about this since yesterday, and I'm going to dive deep into this, okay? What if these are not alien hybrid, human hybrid, but what if they're demon human hybrids? In other words, you heard about the succubus and the incubus, how they rape men and women. They have sexual relations with them. Let me explain that to you a little bit from a demonology point of view, okay? A lot of people get this wrong and they don't understand what's going on with that. But here's the interesting part. And this goes in with the Fae and stolen children and changelings too, by the way, okay? This whole thing is kind of interconnected. But let me explain something about the incubus and the succubus right quick before we get into this. The incubus and the succubus, okay. The incubus is the male, the demon appearing as a male, and he has sexual relations with the woman. And then the succubus is a demon that appears as a woman and has sexual relations with a man. Now, according to the ancient demonologists, the sexual act, the demon that looks like a man impregnates the woman with demon seed. Okay, this can happen that way. Also, the man that has sexual relations with the female appearing demon, and the reason I say they appear because we're talking about different sexes and the way they appear to these people, okay? Well, the one that has the female thing she takes the sperm of the man, turns around, appears as a demon to the woman, and inserts the sperm in the woman, and therefore you have a demonic child, a half human, half demonic. That's the way this is supposed to go. I just wanted to lay that out. It's kind of confusing, but I mean, it's sort of a transference of sperm from one to the other, and it goes through a demon thing, okay? Comes out as demon seed, as we've always called it. Have you ever seen children that were just so rotten and mean and hateful? And I've run into a few like that people call them the demon seed, They call them a demon seed. And sometimes you may not be too far from the mark. What's going on. But no, we got to look at that a minute. And that has supposedly happened with the Fae as well. Men would have sexual relations with a female Fae, and she would get pregnant by them and have a half pair of children. As a matter of fact, a lot of the royal families of Scotland, Ireland, Wales, and all these, I'm not talking about the main royal family. I'm talking about the other royals, that were kings of Scotland and all this stuff. A lot of their ancestry is supposed to be connected to the Fae because of this. They have a layer of supposedly Fae blood in them from these things. So let's take a big back up and look at the big picture a minute, okay? What we're talking about is humanity being infected, being seeded by these forces, okay? So what if that's what we're dealing with here with the black-eyed children? That's a possibility you got to look at, What you guys think?
Gee.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, when you talk about fallen angels, having sexual relations with the earth women. I mean, I can imagine that demons would also be able to. I don't know. I never really thought about demons having sex with humans, but I guess you talk about people having stories like that.
We do know that they can impregnate people because, according to the Bible, the sons of God came into the daughters of men and had children with them. We know they can. They have that capability. That they can do that. So, what if what you're seeing here in the black-eyed kids is sort of like the spawn of the Nephilim kind of a thing going on here? That's a possibility to look at.
Let's take that one step farther too. I mean, in New England and parts of the Midwest, you got the talk of the melon heads. What's to say that the melon head legend of children, um, a demon, hybrid. What's to say that when we see things like the Dover demon, isn't a hybrid? What's to say that? I mean, we know for certain. We know for certain that Mother Leeds in Jersey, when she had that 13th child, at least we know it was at the very least demonic. Okay. Whether it's, Lucifer reborn himself or whether it's a demon hybrid or whatnot, we know that it was by legend demonic because of its description and its actions.
And there may be more to that story than we know. She didn't just say, let it belong to the devil. It could be that she had some kind of demon relationship we don't know about, You don't just curse a child and he suddenly becomes half demon. It doesn't work that way. You got to have some catalyst for it. But here's one other aspect we need to look at, too. I'm going to throw this out there. What if the government knows about this and is exploiting that as they do everything else, weaponizing it? What if they're experimenting with this demon seed,
Yeah, and that's true because, if you think about it, why else would they be asking paranormal researchers all kinds of things about demonology?
Right.
Why would they want to interview people about demonology when we go to these paracons and stuff like that around the country, or even when they see us out?
Right now, they know our names. They know us. They see us. They know everything about us. They make it their business to do that. I don't like that. I know you don't like it, but that's life. We got to face that. Everybody now is under the microscope. They know all about us. They know what our interest is, what our religion are, how much money we got in the bank. Good luck with that with me. But anyway, they know all about us, okay? And they know they're watching us, and they know what our interests are. They watch these podcasts, they do. They monitor everything. Look how much the FBI has been called just recently. The monitoring, the NSA files that they put in, and all this stuff to watch everything we do. They know what we're doing. So yeah, that makes it very reasonable to me that they would say, well, let's talk to these guys. They know something about the paranormal. Maybe they know something more than we do and what we're dealing with, but we can't come out and tell them what we're dealing with. They're not going to be up front. The government's never up front with you on that. You know how that goes. But yeah, that makes reasonable. Think about it. It makes perfect sense when you think about it.
Yeah, true. Especially with the likes of CERN opening up portals to hell. I mean, it makes the most logical sense, really, in that whole scenario. I don't know, G. What do you think?
And we know without a doubt, William, that the demonic is interested in screwing up the DNA of humans, corrupting humans. They're not just going to stop corrupting you spiritually. They want to do you physically too, And we know that that's been their plan all along since the very beginning, because you read that in the Bible. That's the very first thing about the sons of God and all that stuff. We know what they're up to, and if the government's in bed with the demonic like we think it is, that makes perfect sense that they would be interested in these things. Because they've got their hands dirty with it,
Yeah. True. Makes you wonder. Definitely makes you wonder.
Now, going back in time to the Fae, which a lot of people consider the Fae to be demonic, by the way. They consider them to be fallen angels. That's their original, supposed to be their origin of where they originally came from. And this is well known in Ireland and Wales and Scotland and places like that. And a lot of these royal families, the people that were the ancient royal families. Now, I'm not talking about the Windsors. They're really Germanic, by the way. They come from actually come from Germany. Okay, but that's another story. I won't get into that right now. But anyway, a lot of these older royal families in Scotland and Ireland, places like that, supposedly have had their bloodlines infected by the Fae. And why? Why you gotta ask, is that going on? Because there's a reason for it. And just like we've always talked about the alien thing, why are the aliens so interested in experimenting on you and putting implants in you and all this bunch of stuff? It all begins to kind of fall together when you think about this. This is manipulation on a grand scale of the human race. And that's what it's all a part of, I think. And that's why they're so interested in the blood and the DNA. And I think, I'm going to tell you something else. Could it not be that a lot of these so-called alien abductions that sound very much like the Fae abductions from years and years ago, it's just a more modern version of the aliens have taken the place of the fairies, kind of, in that respect. But what if they're taking these women on these ships or wherever they're taking them and having sexual relations with them? The women don't know it. And of course, you hear a lot of times about I was carrying an alien baby and all this stuff. What's going on with that? That's very much like what we're talking about right here now, the demon seed kind of a thing.
Well, if the black-eyed children are demonic, and maybe they are, a combination of human DNA and fallen angel or off breed of a government program or whatever, and either they're set loose to terrorize and scare us, or maybe they broke loose and they can't actually handle them because they are dimensional beings. Maybe they brought them up and experimented, and now they can't control them.
Well, we got to think about this too a minute, okay? The demonic is negative. It creates negativity. It creates fear, confusion, anger, hatred. It does all that stuff. Why? Because these are very base emotions of the human being. And when you engage in these emotions, especially like jealousy, fear, hatred, violence, what happens? The adrenaline begins to flow in you, okay? That makes your blood that much more, I think, interesting to them when that adrenaline is going. You know what I'm saying? And it could be in many aspects they like to feed off of that adrenaline kind of thing, And it not only putting out in the blood, but it puts out. I think it puts out sort of an aurora around you, an aura that spiritually, an aura that goes out, and they may be feeding off of that. I think the demonic does that because, like I said, they love to create negativity and feed off of it. So
right.
Think about what these black-eyed kids are doing. What the number one thing that they do to people that we know of, they scare the crap out of them. They admit that fear that they initialize that fear, and they love that stuff. Don't you sense that's one of the telltale signs to me that what you're dealing with is downright demonic in that respect, because they love that fear. I've been in homes where these things have infested families, and believe me, once upon a time these people were peaceable, loving each other, families, and then they're at each other's throats. This negativity has turned them against each other. Why? The demonic loves that. That's what they feed off of. It makes them more powerful. If we go out tonight and eat us a big steak dinner, when we get done, we feel like we could go out and conquer the world, unless we overeat too much, Eddie. But I mean, once you get a good dinner and you feel much stronger, don't you? Think about it. You got fuel for your body, and that's what it needs. And you're at your optimum when you get that, And so is the demonic. When they feed on that negativity, it makes them more powerful, more stronger. They love that. So that's one of the main attributes of these kids. They're putting out this fear, this mega fear here, this mega fear that gets that adrenaline flowing, gets that spiritual essence up higher. I'd say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're definitely partnering up with the government, I think. That's a biggie with me. That
Mhm.
is a telltale sign that the governments around the world, which includes the UN and NATO and all everybody, don't really give a damn about the citizens. Um,
No, here's the
they,
bad thing, William. Here's the bad thing, okay? We have worked all our lives, all three of us right here, just like everybody else out there listening to us. We've worked all our lives to finance this junk,
yeah.
okay? We've done that, unfortunately. We're the patsies on this, okay? We're the victims, okay? Okay, you got to say that. That's what's going on. They have
Well, I
sold
don't.
us out
Yeah, I
big
don't.
time. They
Don't.
have sold us out.
I don't think we're the victims. I think we are
Well, I
just
mean, well, we would be
are
the
just
victims in this case,
are
but I'm
just
just saying
are just.
they're
I
trying to
think we're just.
victimize us. They're trying to victimize
You're
us.
right. Right.
You got to admit that.
Right. The way I look at it is, everybody talks about the whole slavery thing. Okay. Well, to me, slavery has not ended over time. To me, it's just a continuation. You can slap a label on anything, but what we have in today's society, you have people saving away work to make wages to support the 1% of the 10% of the most wealthy. Okay. That's slavery. Whether you want to admit it or not, you are being an indentured servant by turning over your hard worked earnings and paying your taxes is slavery. It
But
is
here's the other part
slavery.
of it that's so bad, William. The other part is they're selling us out.
Right.
They're selling us out. In
So,
other words, it's one thing to have a slave, it's another thing to sell them. You know what I'm saying? They're selling us out to these forces. And that's the
right.
bad part. That's really what really sticks here. You know what I mean? It's not one thing
Yeah.
to stick it to you, but when they stick you with a knife and then twist it, you know, that's the bad
Yeah.
part. That makes me kind of angry. And if the governments are doing that, and I think we know without doubt they're up to that. And they
Yeah.
weaponize everything in their enemy. But like Raven Creek says there, they're probably so in over their heads now. And I said this before, that they realize what's happened to them. They realize they're in deeper than they're in quicksand. And they're trying to find some way maybe to get out or get a handle on it. Because the government is about one thing and one thing only, just like you said a minute ago, control. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they are. And it's getting to the point right now where, people can doubt the conspiracy theories all they want about certain things. But when you go to a grocery store, okay, like you and I and Carlito talked about the other day in our chat, um, was, how people aren't really noticing the small changes that our governments and their controlling governing bodies are doing every day. They're not noticing the small changes of like the produce that is being put on the shelves that have that coating on them that you were talking about that looks like wax and it's not wax. They're not looking at the fruit and the vegetables that they're putting out there on the shelves to sell as fresh, farm fresh, without seeds in them. Are you kidding? You can't plant something naturally without it having a natural way to return back to the soil. Okay, which
It's
is
not
seeds.
natural. In other words, that's not natural. And
Right.
I've said
Right.
this for years. China has been experimenting with plastic food for years now. Okay, I told you about that. The rice, every third grain of rice was plastic. They say it still passes through the body. It's still all right. That's the way. That's another way to stretch the food source. They're all about that because
Exactly.
the the food, just like you said, is very important, William. The food source of humanity is where you got us by the cojones there. You know what I'm saying? If we don't have food, we don't live, and they know that. Just like food and water, you got to have it.
Yep.
And that's
Exactly.
what they're working on. Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
We know that without doubt. And then all the stuff
Yep.
that's going on like that. And here's another thing about the government, though. Here's the bad part, too. Um, and like I said this before earlier, when you can't pay taxes anymore, you're no longer an asset. You're a liability.
Yeah.
You're a liability. And they figure they could do whatever the heck they want with you, even if it's experimenting with you if they want to, or getting rid of you if they need to, whatever they get. Or if you get too close to the truth, you're definitely expendable, whether you're a liability or not. So, somebody
Yeah.
put on the other day, and this is kind of funny. They said 500-page bills go through, and nobody reads them. Why don't we slip some term limits in there? They never would know it.
Yeah.
Who's reading this? Do you really believe in congressmen sitting around reading these 500-page bills that they're putting through? Nah. But yeah, it's the bureaucracy is very much like the demonic. It feeds off of the negative things that's always going on. It's always going on. And if they can keep that up,
Yep.
like you said, that slavery going, they can live off of that for the rest of their lives, and they get power. They get power, and that's what they want. And the power is over us. That's what they want. And it does not
Yep.
surprise me a bit. They would sell their very souls to the devil for that power. Definitely, without a
Well,
doubt.
here's the whole weird connection that I made just last night. What if, say, everything that we're talking about? Yes, it's all connected. It obviously is. Okay. I mean, it's so obvious. It's blatant, right in our face. But they hide the most secretive things right in front of us in plain sight. So, because people won't guess it, won't second guess it at all. That's why so much activity happens around, military bases. But what if they not only use the demon connection against us in a hybrid program, but what if they're using it to time travel, to change things that actually happen in the future? Like say for instance, some of these missing 411 people have a grandson down the line that is going to be a president or a military leader that's going to do some really good for humanity. What if they don't like that? And what if they make that person's grandfather or grandmother disappear while they're hiking?
Well, that's another thing about it, William. Okay, if you screw around with timelines and the children, children are the future. You've heard me say that before, and it's very true. They're going to go into the future where you and I are never going to go, okay? Children and grandchildren and all that, they're the future. The government wants your future. It's not enough that they're going to mess up your past and dominate your present, but they want your future as well. And it would not surprise me if a lot of these people disappear because they actually no longer really exist. And I think some of these people are also food sources, and they are also experimental type things they want to use them for. I think there's not one single reason why these people are disappearing. But it's like I said before, something is hunting the human race. Is it the human race itself, like Soylent Green? Are we going to eat each other in the end? Is that the way it's going to end for us? Or something other factor, which I believe is there, and that's that demonic factor or alien, whatever name tag you want to put on it. It's there. And it's in cahoots with this stuff. But we're being sold out. Don't you think so, Geryl?
Yeah, I mean, you bring up Soylent Green. I was going to bring that up also. Looking at these movies and stuff, we always see red pills and little soft disclosures. Who knows? Are we heading towards Logan's Run where you're going to reach a certain age and you become into a lottery and you got to euthanize yourself and join the government program, and then you got the Soylent Green? They're trying to get us to eat crickets and not beef anymore. And who's going to say that eventually they don't slip in something, whether it's human based food or whatever, just to get rid of you got to do something with the bodies.
I've had people ask me, Geryl, is Hollywood trying to put forth some kind of secret code to us here? But let me say this, okay, about Hollywood. Hollywood, there are a lot of writers there. Okay, you got to have writers to do all this stuff, and writers are people who essentially harvest research. Okay, you can't be a writer without doing your research, unless it's a subject you know very, very well, your own personal subject. That's a different story. But these writers are very great and very good, and I think they've got some of them have inside connections to things. Okay, I'm not going to say that's going on too, definitely. But a lot of this research is paying out. If you look back in the past at the writers, look at Poe and Lovecraft and H.G. Wells and Jules Verne. They predicted things that were going to happen because they did their research. They were far-looking people. They they looked out of that box. Okay, that's what they were doing. They were looking outside the box, and these writers gave us a glimpse of the future. And I think some of these writers, these modern day writers, although Hollywood may not really be wanting to do this, are giving us glimpses of things that's happening, and we've seen them happen in front of our eyes. So it's not, I don't think, a secret code. I think it's more or less like a predictive kind of thing, because writers do that. But you go back and look at some of these Hollywood movies. What are they trying to tell us in a certain way? Is this your future? 1984 is already with us in many aspects. Big Brother, the thought police, the language police, the wokeism crap that's going on in the world today. It's just another means to control the masses.
Well, I don't know if I read it or watched it on a YouTube or something, but I saw where the government is in ties with these writers, especially like Clancy. If you read Clancy's books, a lot of that is government agencies and all the secret missions and stuff that they're doing. Yeah. Then you got 3 Days of the Condor, where they're taking government documents and actually putting missions, decoded inside their messages and passing it back and forth about all these operations and stuff going on across the world. So it's all out there. You just got to be able to decipher it and figure it out.
And Country Boy's right there when that observation there. The problem with the American people is we've gotten away from raising our own food and animals because the government has made food easily available. We're now dependent upon the government right where they want us. We have to hold our hand out for them to give us what we need to live on. We are, as William said earlier, we are slaves. We are slaves from the cradle to the grave. And they know that. They've got us right where they want us, over that proverbial barrel, as the old saying used to go. And we're dependent on it. We are slaves of our own technology and our own culture. If the lights go out right now and never come back on again, my friends, you will see what the real face of civilization is. It won't be civilization anymore. It'll be a dog eat dog thing, It'll be a jungle out there, and people will kill you for love of bread. That's true. Getting back to what you said about the timelines, yeah, it would not surprise me if they're not screwing around with that. And if you screw too much with timeline, Geryl might disappear in front of our eyes. He might not exist no more. If you take away his, there he goes. If you do that, people may disappear. Definitely. It kind of reminds me of the Back to the Future movies. He was having to work trying to get his mom and dad back together because he was slowly disappearing off of that photograph. Oh, you're back. Okay. But anyway.
They didn't want me.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, yeah, that's a possibility too, definitely. The government's not going to stop at anything. They're not going to stop. Oh, let's not mess with the timeline. No, they're not going to do that. They're not going to say that.
I don't know if I want to say anything about the government anymore or the demonic because they completely kicked me off of StreamYard. So as soon as I made that comment about the other day, as soon as I made that comment about the people missing, as soon as I made that comment about the people missing, and doing the timeline jumps, they kicked me off. So.
But here's what I said the other day, William, to somebody. I said, look, it's getting awful darn hard to see the line between the demonic and the government anymore. The lines are blurred.
Yeah, you can't separate the two anymore. The two are almost the same.
Yep.
I've kind of wondered if it's a dimensional, not only timeline but dimensional, where you have, like the multiverse, where you have different versions of yourself, different versions of your life, or I'm
That's
working
all,
in a.
Geryl. That's all quantum mechanics. You can't talk about time travel without portals and without dimensions and all that, because it all tied together. You know, one without the other.
Yeah,
You
the
definitely.
time. Yeah, because the time flux works in conjunction with the parallel dimensionals fluxes. It's when you have multiple timelines, say you've got 1,000 different timelines with 1,000 different options, and you have 1,000 different dimensions. At those intersections, if anything tweaks them to where they twist, which is what is being done with CERN, and they overlap, then that's where you have the problem. You have what they call quantum entanglement, which is basically your timelines and your dimensional lines being entangled to where they overlap each other and they interact more with each other.
Right, and I think it maybe what happened to me the other day with that McDonald's, incident. And here's another thing, and you I think you sent me this the other night about that train load of explosives that disappeared.
Yeah,
Did that not happen?
yeah.
Did that not happen before? Didn't that happen a few months ago or something? I seem like I remember that happening before.
That's Mandela effect.
All I know is there's been several things that have been turned missing. And it all started with, if y'all remember, the atomic bomb that disappeared over the North Carolina coast several years ago.
They still haven't found that one.
They still haven't found that. Okay, to this day. Okay, makes you wonder.
Somebody's got it, I guarantee, somewhere. Anyway, I seem to have heard this news item before, and I kind of give that Mandela effect you hear about. I think, I've heard that before. It seems to have happened before. It seems very familiar to me. And another disturbing thing are all these young Chinese men coming over the border. You hear about that? I heard about that several months ago,
20,
too. I don't know if they're repeating themselves.
Yeah, 20 or 30,000.
With these news items.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you remember it was I believe it was Alex Jones and Governor Jesse Ventura, that exposed all of those secret family-oriented facilities that the FEMA opened up all around the nation secretively for displaced families. Well, they're now putting the people coming over the border into those camps, calling them FEMA emergency family centers. Okay, and basically
what they concentration camp.
Yeah, and what it is basically it's a prison. They have a 9-foot or an 8-foot chain link fence around it with about all the way up maybe 10 foot of concertina wire around it like a prison would. They have signs saying up that, you can come and go as you please, but yet they have like security at the door, just like a prison would, to where you can't leave. They don't let you leave ever.
And here's another thing, William, and I'll tell this to everybody out there watching today. The government's got your casket in storage, by the way. It's in a lot of these FEMA camps. I've seen the pictures. They've got miles and thousands upon thousands of plastic caskets ready for you. These things, people do not. Wake up and realize, people, what's going on here. The way it's being prepared for the absolute control and destruction of mankind is coming. You got to do something with the bodies, okay? You can't just leave them laying around.
Soylent Green.
They can flush. Yeah. Yeah, they can flush my asters because this world's just a bunch of crap anyways. So that's the way I feel.
Yeah. I come back at home. I'm looking forward to
that. You have a list?
But yeah, I mean, FEMA is a very insidious organization, by the way. I know they're there, they're supposed to help people, but you got to remember, who is FEMA? They're the government, okay? And what did Ronald Reagan say? The worst thing you ever want to hear is, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. You don't want to hear that because you're really screwed in.
Right.
I have some friends. that work for FEMA. I have a couple of friends that work for FEMA, and they're always called out during natural disasters and stuff like that. But you wouldn't believe some of the wild stuff that goes on, and the money they give these people for the things they do. Our government, if they could take just half of the money that they really waste on this bunch of junk and give it to us, we'd all be billionaires, We wouldn't have any problems at all, but they're not going to give us the money. They're not going to give it to us. They're going to waste it on this kind of junk.
Well, the whole concept of slavery is that the government makes it look like you're going to get a great deal, like buying a used car and getting 150,000 miles for free, with free oil changes for life, And it's not true. It's not how it works. Yeah, it's not how it works.
The devil does the same way. He's going to get you to go to hell and think it's a good idea, and you're on board with it, That's the way it works. They sell it, Like I told you before, when I worked at the hospital, for 30 years. I was in the PR department, okay? I was in marketing. And what I said, it wasn't enough to say, okay, if you get sick, here we are, we're here to help you. No. You need this. You need to come in and take this test or that test or do this thing. We were making money off of that. It's all about the money. People, wake up. Follow the money trail. Yeah. That's where to take you exactly where the real head honcho is, and what they're doing. The money is what it's all about because money's power and power is money.
Yeah, they have so much control in every aspect of our daily lives. It's almost like the old story of working in the company mine. Then you take your pay and you got to go to the company store and buy their goods. Then you live in their company shacks.
That's the way it was in the South, Geryl, with the cotton mills. You went to the cotton mill store. They gave you. They even had cotton mill money. They didn't have government money. They had their own money. Okay, you were a slave to the cotton mill. That was a form of communism. That's all it was.
Yeah, even I agree with Raven Creek Charms on this one. Because it's getting to the point now where even if you have an outside streaming service, YouTube, Facebook, all of them out there, the government can still censor you by shutting your airways down just like that. All they got to do is flip a switch somewhere and they send this pulse out and it'll shut everything down.
So, Big brothers watching over your shoulder.
Hey, I was going to mention that Raven, got kicked out of your chat. Is it because she's still subscribed to your old channel and not your new channel? We were kind of wondering that the other day. Maybe she's trying to log into your old channel and can't get in.
No, she was on the new channel.
There's got to be ways around it. There's got to be ways around that somehow. Like I say, I'm trying to find that guy that everybody brags on and say he's a genius at this. He could probably solve your problem or give you some way around it. If I can find him, I'd like to have his name just in case you never know.
I'm Edward Snowden. I'm gonna get a hold of Edward Snowden, and we're gonna have a conversation about certain things going on and what can technically be done about it. So,
Well, if we had the money, we could create our own social network.
But I'll say this: the more and more I look at
we
the
certainly got the
black-eyed
people.
children, the more I look at the black-eyed children, the more this seems plausible of what's really going on with these guys and what they're up to and what they're doing. I think it goes a whole lot deeper than just being supernatural entities, which I think is what part of the equation is. I mean, come on. If it crawls like a snake, looks like a snake, it's got to be a snake, okay? If it's supernatural, it acts supernatural, it's probably supernatural, okay? We can't get around it. Although science doesn't believe in the supernatural, they think we're all. I talked to somebody the other day, and this is the attitude of some people. Oh, you don't believe in all that stuff, do you? That's the craziest way out there stuff that only idiots would think about stuff like that. You know, that's the way that the mainstream science looks at this and looks at us because we talk about it, you know?
Why are the government?
Closed.
Yeah. Then why are the government scientists unable to solve the problems that the governments come to us to ask what's going on with demonology?
Yep.
Yeah, that's weird. If they're involved in all this DNA harvesting and making these hybrids and have stuff in their government agencies that we don't know about, why are they coming out and asking us? Don't they already know? Aren't they a part of it?
Like I say, that was a telltale. That was a big red flag to me when that happened. I said, "Whoa, what's going on with this?" I mean, it spoke volumes. You know what I mean? The old saying goes, it spoke a lot to me. What's going on here? Why do they need this information? Why are they so desperate to get it? Why do they come to me and other people like me and ask us about this stuff? There's a reason why, and I think the reason is they're in demonic quicksand.
Yeah, they don't know how to get themselves out of it.
Too. Yeah, that Malaysian flight 800, I think it was it 800? Malaysian flight 800 that disappeared. I think the governments had something to do with that because there was something vital that they needed on that plane. Okay, and they didn't want it to get out. They didn't want whatever information was on that plane to get out because there is no way. I don't give a rat's ass how small the plane is. There is no way with our technology in the last 10 years cannot identify a 767 from the freaking air with satellites.
Yeah.
In the water.
There's something else going on, like with the balloon, okay? Like with the balloon, okay? He knew it was up there. It had happened before, but yet it didn't come out and tell anybody that. Nothing was said about it. They didn't even tell, listen to this, they didn't even tell the President of the United States about it.
Right.
That was Donald Trump.
When this government has secret weapons, energy weapons, that can shoot missiles going at Mach 7 out of the sky, okay, and drop carbon rods just like a bomb from a satellite, okay, because carbon rods won't burn up that much coming into the Earth's orbit, and when it hits the ground, it hits like an atomic bomb going off, but it's not nuclear. If they can do that kind of technology and they have it, that tells you right there.
Me. Okay, you got a Chinese balloon, spy balloon. That's what it is. Okay, let's look at the real facts. And it comes over the United States, and they don't even tell the President of the United States. If I was the President of the United States, heads would roll, buddy. I'd be knocking some departments out on account of that because I'd have to know something. If you got a doggone Chinese spy balloon coming over my country, I want to know about it. But yet you don't hear anything said about it. You don't hear anybody saying, "Oh, come on, they should have told the president about that." It just slowly, quietly gets swept up under the rug, like all those Chinese soldiers coming across the border and all these secret Chinese police stations around the country. You don't hear anything about that. They're selling us out, people.
Yeah. Yeah. And to answer Lori's question here, why would they send all these people over the border when they want to cut the population? It's very simple. Okay. They've got to have a reason to reintroduce the cattle into the herd. Okay. Because you keep calling the herd, eventually you're not going to have a herd to cull. You have to keep reintroducing cattle. Yeah, you have to keep reintroducing cattle into the herd if you're going to call the herd. Okay. And you're going to continue to call the herd.
I'm going to say this. Okay. Let me say this, and I'm going to probably get in big trouble for this, but it's the gosh honest truth, people. I'm not making this up. I'll tell you why they want all these illegals in here. Because they're going to vote Democrat. That's all I got to say. Fill in the rest of the blanks for yourself. That's what it's all about, okay? I don't care how much they deny that and call us crazy for saying it and saying, oh, it's a conspiracy theory, it's MAGA stuff and all that. That's the number one reason why they're bringing all these immigrants in, these letting these illegals in, is because they vote Democrat, whether it's an illegal vote or not. They're going to solidify their power.
I don't think it's that they. I don't think it's that they would vote Democrat. I think it would be the forces out there that are in control. The forces out there in control have a way to manipulate the sympathetic type of people that feel sympathetic for, like say the current whatever his name is in office right now. I'm not even going to say it, and don't nobody say it. But there's a lot of people that feel sympathetic. There's a lot of people that feel sympathetic for his medical situation with his dementia. Okay, and it is exactly what it is. Let's call it what it is. A duck's a duck, and a snake's a snake. And a dementia patient is a dementia patient. Okay. My father suffered from it. Several family members suffered from it. Okay. I've seen it firsthand. Okay. Dementia is dementia. Okay. Heck, I might even get it eventually, which who knows? Maybe I'm got the onset stages of it anyways, but, that being said, the sympathetic vote carries a lot of weight in this country. Okay, because when you pull at the heartstrings of somebody and you say, "Oh, he may be, this, he may be that, but he's this and that because of this," and and they can continually say, "Oh, and it's because of this person, and it's because of that person, and it's because of this incident and that, medical incident." They're gonna get the sympathy vote, plain and simple. And the other aspect of that coin too is the religious vote. You have a lot of people coming into this country that aren't Catholic anymore. The ones that are Catholic are the ones that are being sent back. Okay. They are. They're the ones being returned to their South American countries.
You know why? I think Catholics tend to fight back a little more. They seem to be a little more hard-headed, per se, against the things that they want done. I think they're stirring up trouble for them, and that's why they're so anti-Catholic. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, and they talk about
the abortion thing.
Yeah, and they always point the finger at racism. Okay, now take it from somebody who's grown up through the whole era of racism. Okay, being a minority, more of a minority than the African American. Okay, being Native American, I got bullied, I got beaten to death, I got, everything happened to me. That's why I embraced the dark Native American arts. Okay. That's why I went dark. Okay. Is because of how I was treated in society growing up. Okay. All the way up to my young years, I was in the American Indian movement, you know, 30 rifles against the, U.S. Marshals and, FBI and National Guard in New York and several other places, I was part of that, and, you know, I look back at it and I think, if I could have not had all that hate and all that anger and bitterness inside me, if society would have treated the initial contact with me differently, the outcome would have been different. A lot of sadness and heartache would have been avoided. Okay, but instead of that, it multiplied over time, and just anger became more angry, and then anger became just rage, and then rage became, I'm gonna create chaos, you know so that's how it worked with me, and that's how a lot of people are being manipulated in today with the way things are going on. You've got TV manipulation, you've got radio broadcast manipulation, you've got cellular manipulation, you've got internet manipulation, you've got you got people being medically manipulated. Okay,
And we're being divided, William. We're being divided and set up in segments because it's much easier to control people that way.
Exactly, and not to beat a dead horse, but it's like we've always said our entire show on here. We've always said you have to stand by your faith and embrace the light and to fight the darkness. And from somebody who's coming from the darkness, that is now in the light, I can honestly say that holds water, that container holds water. It doesn't have a hole in it. If you can stand firm in your faith, okay, and like I've always said, I don't care what your faith is, okay? I don't care what the color of your skin is. I don't care what your faith is. I don't care what your preference is to be called, okay? Stand in your faith, because you got to have faith in something. Whether you call him God, whether you call him Jesus, whether you call him Buddha, whether you call him Hare Krishna, it doesn't freaking matter. Okay? There's one creator, one supreme being, okay, that created all of us in his image with 2 legs, 2 arms, 2 eyes, 2 ears, and a mouth. Okay? That's what makes us alike. Okay? That's what doesn't separate us. Okay? That's what makes us. And then the color of our skin and the texture of our hair and the length of our hair and our whiteness and our beards, right, G, makes us unique. It makes us unique. It doesn't separate us.
Yeah, I think I've always looked at that way, William. I always look at the similarities and not the differences. But they want us to look at the differences, see? That's what's going on in the world right now, and that's what's screwing us up. I think it didn't just start with Obama. I won't say that name. It started before then, but he amplified it a whole lot more. You know what I'm saying? But the whole thing in a nutshell is they want us to see the differences and not the similarities that make us human. That's wrong. I don't care which way you look at it, and I agree with everything you just said, but that's wrong that they want us to see nothing but the differences, because that divides us, that makes us, that segments us, that tears us down when they should be building us up, but they don't do that.
And a divided nation can be conquered.
Divide and conquer.
That's
Yep.
that's the whole plan. I mean, they try to devise ways to get us to fight amongst each other, so then it's easier for them to control us. I mean, look back when our grandparents were being raised, or their parents. I mean, it was you had every community looked out for one another. You had the churches helping everybody out, and you donated your time, you donated your money to help anybody in need. I mean, it was all about brotherly love and helping out your community and your neighbor. And now they came up with a plan where they make everybody fight and scratch at each other and tear everybody down. I mean, we got to get back to that, love one another.
Let me answer Joey Z here. Joey Z, you're right. Evil. There's one thing you can count on about evil. It will always do whatever it takes to get what it wants. No matter what, nothing's on the table. Everything. They'll do whatever it takes. If it means cutting your grandmother's throat or cutting your throat, it doesn't matter to them. Whatever it takes, that's their motto. They'll do it.
Yeah, definitely. And it's a sad day when in a world that was once, a very, unique, precious world. And and not to go off subject here, but let's go a little bit off the rail. Yesterday I went outside and, talking to the bumblebees, and yes, talking to the butterflies, and yes, talking to the plants, because you have to. It's called being respectful for everything. That instead of swatting at that wasp that flies in front of your face, try talking to it and it'll leave you alone. But I looked at the plants that we planted in the gardens and in the grow gardens that we have, the raised gardens, and the beautiful area that my wife told me to make for the zucchini and the squash and all that, and I saw those plants coming up out of the surface of the ground, and then I went out the other morning or the other afternoon again and checked them again. Here they must have looked like double in height just within a short period of time, and that was after I talked to them. Okay, so you have to acknowledge in our universe that everything responds to frequency and vibration, literally. Okay,
and William,
whether it's through the form of
attention, when we pay attention, it's very powerful.
Right.
We've often said that about demons. You don't want to pay attention to them because it gets their attention when you do. But paying attention to something, like I said the other day, like you are with your children. If you don't pay attention to them, how do you expect them to grow up to be people worth anything? You've got to put your time and energy in something. It's like I told you about my grandmother. I can see her right now. She would walk through her garden. She grew flowers more than she didn't grow vegetables that much. But she could walk. I could see her. She would walk through there and touch every plant and speak to it. Not just speaking to it, she would touch the plant. She gave it attention, and that's what you're talking about there. And when you give attention to things, even if it's a butterfly, if it's a snake, a rabbit, and like I said, I've always talked to animals. People say, "Oh, you're crazy." They ain't locked me up yet. But anyway, I enjoy the rapport there thing. There's a connection, Whenever you pay attention and speak to something, you establish a connection, and it's very important in this universe.
Have you ever seen the experiment, or I don't know if it's really an experiment, but they wrote papers on it, and there's a lady and a group that put microphones up to the plants, and they hear the frequencies and the tones coming off of them, and they make music with them, and it's really cool when you think about it.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about funny thing. Reminds me when you were talking about your garden, William. You remember what a depression garden was? You remember that?
Oh yeah.
Back in the Great Depression, everybody had a garden. It was called a depression. Well, I'm funny. I think here we're coming back, circling around. We're all making depression gardens.
Yep, exactly. And the first things that I put in the ground were potatoes.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that's kind of ironic too because of the potato famine. So
Yeah, you can always make vodka, I guess.
You know,
we may need it.
the most. Did you know the most perishable item that you can have in your canned goods section are tomatoes? By the way, they won't last near as long as anything. Canned beans last forever, but tomatoes you better not leave them too long because they've got a lot of acid in them. So it makes more sense to grow your tomatoes than to buy them. You know. In
Well,
that respect.
this is why I went off subject a little bit with the whole seedless thing. Okay, that they're putting in produce and in the stores. When you go and you're buying seedless grapes and seedless tomatoes and seedless watermelon and seedless cantaloupe and seedless this, seedless that, and then the coating that's on them to preserve them for a year. Who wants an apple to last a year? Not me.
It wouldn't
Okay.
last that long around me. I'll eat it.
You know,
You know. Yeah.
but
But they're
I
messing
mean, it's
around with
just,
our food, and like I said, that's what started with the bug thing. But eat bugs are better for you. All the protein in them. I think we're being prepared, people, and it's not prepared in a good way. It's a bad way.
Well, I think they're producing the seedless stuff, just like you're saying, William. So you can't harvest the seeds and replant them, or they have regrowth in your garden. Just
They don't want you to do
because
that,
we
though,
have
Geryl.
we have in our gardens we have last year stuff. That drops seeds and it sprouts new plants. A lot of times, and we try to save them. I mean, they're not quite as strong as the
But with
original, but
all this seedless stuff, they don't want us to replant. They don't want us to have
yeah.
seeds to do that. I don't think they do.
And the whole purpose of it is ultimately, like we said, it's just a control. And as soon as we give that freedom up, um, whether it's to go to the grocery store to buy, vegetables and fruit with seeds in them, to reuse, or whether it's to go to buy, real ground beef in a store and not the, you know, genetically modified, induced with hormones and steroids and all this that was grown in a lab. Um, you know, it's all about manipulation of the human species. Okay. When it comes down to it, the demonic and the governments that are working with the demonic. And I don't, one thing I want everybody to understand is I'm not one to say, oh, this is demonic, that's demonic, that's demonic, or that's demonic. That's not me. Okay. When I say demonic, I mean demonic like or demonic in nature, evil, dark evil, that kind of a stuff. So don't I don't want to be misconstrued here. But when you have the dark forces of our government and our shadow government, which I do believe are supernatural entities, to say that are dark, let's put it that way. Okay. um when you have them working together for thousands of years, and they have come up with ideas to continually to keep the human race under lock and key and chain of slavery and manipulate them. Every time there's a change in history or a change in dynamics of the societies, they're right there having their solutions put in place. Okay. And this has gone on for thousands of years. Okay. Since the fall of the angels. Okay. This has gone on. And, Jesus knew it. Some of the prophets knew it. Okay. Um, Especially the ones that, like Thomas, who talks about it. okay, in the book of Thomas. Um, Enoch talked about it. You know, he understood that there was something more to what is going on for us to be in the place and the position of time that we are in. And that's why Enoch stayed up there, okay, and didn't come back, okay. And anybody that's read the book of Enoch knows what I'm talking about. Um, there's so many different ways nowadays to keep us herded cattle within a pen, okay. And then all it takes for them to do is to come along and say, okay, it's that one's time to do this, it's that one's time to do that, and they can manipulate it. And then you put down the whole digital currency that's going to happen down on top of it. You know, it's what I said the other day when we were talking on Friday night about digital currency. Don't fall for it. You know, don't depend on that money being there, because they're going to use it to manipulate, to twist and distort to their advantage. Okay, it's not going to be like you have a paper paycheck in hand and going to the bank and drawing cash out. Okay, those days are gone. Those days are gone. Okay, we are at a point right now where it's, if you don't have gold and silver stocked up, and you don't have a garden, and you don't have, canned goods stocked up, I don't know what to say. If you don't have ammunition for your rifle, for your shotgun, to help you hunt, I don't know what to say. We're at that point right now in our society that things have definitely changed, and they haven't changed for the better, folks. Okay. They can, you put lipstick on a pig and it's still a pig. Okay. That's the point where we're at. They're slapping lipstick and makeup on a pig, but it's still a pig. Okay. We need to take and embrace our faith, embrace the faith, and increase that vibration through our thought process, through our prayers, through our conversations with everybody. We need to be able to, when you shake a man's hand, or a woman's hand, you need to be able to make sure you have that connection. Okay, you need to make sure that connection is an honorable one and a respectful one. Okay.
Let me say this, William. Let me say this to everybody listening out there. Okay, it's not just about the slavery. These forces, and it's not just about, they don't get their jollies out of slavery.
Right.
They're not happy guys. It's not about the slavery. They're feeding off of us. What are they feeding off of? They're feeding off of the hatred that they can establish. They're feeding off of the bad vibrations that they want to put out, that they want us to put out. They're feeding off of the misery, the pain, and the anxiety and the trauma that they're causing us. They love that. That's what makes them more powerful. That's what keeps them in business. It's not just about slavery. It's not about controlling. It's not about, we're their food source. You got to look at it that way. We're a spiritual food source for them. And the more hatred we put forth, the more animosity we show, the more bad feelings we create, the more negativity we put out, the better they like it, folks. Don't cooperate with them. Don't feed the beast. Don't buy the lie.
Right.
Realize what's really going on. Look at the big picture. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's one thing to for us to preach it at everybody, and to tell them, what's going on and all that. But, looking at the chat, I see, everybody is embracing exactly what we're saying, and, if the rest of the world would incorporate that, it'd be a much easier place to say, what, to our powers that be that control us, listen, your ants and your cattle aren't going to follow your lead anymore. Okay. We're not. There's a time when the slavery is going to end. And that time is coming very, very soon, everybody. Okay. Very soon. I may not see it in my lifetime, but that time is coming very, very soon when the
And
slavery
we're going to
is
have
going
to
to
go
end.
through a storm first. We're going to have to go
Yeah.
through a bad storm first before we get to the golden dawn that's really coming. That's
Yeah.
what we got to realize, people. That bad times, hard times are ahead. I hate to be down, okay, but I mean that's what's coming. Just like William said, a new day is gonna dawn one day, but we're gonna have to go through a dark night first. To get ready for
I
it.
agree with that 100%. I agree with that 100%, Sugar Britches. I really do. I agree with that 100%. A lot of people do know
Well,
the
yeah, a lot
truth,
know the
but
truth,
are
but
afraid to say so.
some people are afraid of the truth, sugar bitches. Okay, they're afraid of the truth. It scares them because it rocks their little boat. Don't be that way. You want to speak out for the truth, know the truth, live the truth, day in and day out.
Exactly.
Fight back. That's the way you do it.
Yep. Yep. We got yeah, we've got to really step up. We've got to really we got to step our game up, because every time they make a left, we need to make the two lefts. We need to stay one step ahead of them, and that's going to be hard to do with them being in control. But the thing of it is, without us, without being able to control us as the masses, and give us medications and food that give us diseases that we don't know about, and that is happening, folks. That is very, very much happening. I will prove it now. That is happening. Okay, 1 second. I want you to see what they think of us. Okay. This is what they think of us. This is how little they think of us. And this has been going on for a very, very, very long time. Okay. They have created things to manipulate our genius. They have dumbed up our society. They have manipulated the gene to kill off certain genetic traits that they thought were not appropriate, to say the least. Like the first one there, when you're talking about AIDS, okay, they thought that AIDS virus that they created, and they did create it, okay, it was a man-made virus. It's right there in plain English, all right. When that was created, it was created to hurt a certain group, okay, a certain genetic group of people that were, let's say, didn't like the female male relationship per se, okay. um they that makes that time and that government very, very homophobic, okay, very, very lesbian phobic, okay, very, very transphobic, okay, because that specific virus was created in labs to attack the genetic makeup and traits of people that would be susceptible to having those feelings, okay, towards their same sex uh, human species, okay. That's the easiest way to put it, okay. Now they have technology out there that they're starting to incorporate to attack people's faith. Okay, they have technology out there that can give you vaccines through insect bites. Okay, the Bible talks about the how Dennis, you would know this more than I would. The certain part in Revelations. I think it's chapter 7 of Revelations, if I'm correct. I'm not sure, but I can't think of it right now. About the locust with the faces of men and how they're not to kill mankind. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
they have
not supposed
stingers on them.
Yeah, a scorpion stinger and all that. These are things that our government has already made in robotics, people. Do you know that? I mean, do you seriously know that? Our government has already got these things made. There are drones out there that are insects. There are drones out there that are so small that you wouldn't know it's even there until it bit you in the arm. And by the time it bit you in the arm, so it'd be too late. Okay? This is what they have out there. Okay? And I'm not lying when I'm talking about this. I'm being very, very truthful. Okay? I have researched this to the point where I have had sleepless nights. Okay? I have spotted this technology already. In fact, I have an older picture from last year where I took a photograph of a grasshopper that was a robot. Okay, that was AI and robotics. Okay, this is basically what's going to happen. Okay, this is how this whole thing is going to come together. Okay, and it's coming very, very, very soon. I may not see it. Okay, I may pass before it. They who knows? They may get rid of me before it. You never know. But the thing of it is, it's going to happen, and there's nothing that you can do about it except when it comes to it, stand in your faith and stand strong, and don't fear it. Stand strong in your faith. Believe in the Creator, that the Creator is going to come and it's going to happen, and he's going to take over, and everything's going to turn out okay. Okay, I'm not saying that you need to embrace any certain religion. There are a lot of Catholics out there in the world. Catholicism is very big. There's a lot of Muslims out in the world. Muslim, is very big. There's even a lot of Buddhists out in the world, because Buddhism's, very big now, and Christianity. But just stand in your faith that God provide for you and protect you in the end. Stand in your faith that our shadow government will fall and fail, because they will eventually. Okay, they will.
William, it's very funny you should mention that passage in the Bible. I've been studying it a lot recently. And Abaddon and the bottomless pit and these things that come out sounds very much like, to me, the bottomless pit is some type of a portal, another dimension to another dimension. That's what it sounds like to me. And let's just say tomorrow CERN opens up something like that and turns loose some of these kind of things that it talks about, and it does sound to me like it's insects. Okay, because of the very way it's described as having the tails of scorpions and the wings and all that stuff. What if they were to let something like that out in the world, and it says it goes out and stings people to the point where it doesn't kill you, it just makes you suffer greatly? Okay, what does that sound like? It sounds like an epidemic, doesn't it? I mean, it does. It sounds like some type of a weird epidemic. And to me, that's very interesting. What if that happens along that scenario there? That struck me very much, just looking at that and saying that right there is opening another portal, a dimension, a doorway to hell, and letting this stuff out. And I think that's what's going to happen. It had already happened to a certain degree. Like I said, I believe they cracked the door open, but it's not all the way open yet. And we're going to see what happens when it does, because they're not going to stop. They're not going to, even with coming and asking us all these questions. They're not going to stop doing what they're going to do. No, they never do. They don't have enough knowledge to understand that there comes a point where you need to stop and not go any further past that, but they don't believe that. And we may be the victims of that, definitely. Yeah, and but that's what's so very important. What you say, stand in faith, put on that armor of God, that whole armor of God, not just one two little thing, the whole armor of God. The Bible says, so that you may stand in that day against this wickedness. Because what does the Bible clearly tell us? We struggle not against flesh and blood. Listen to that. Okay, listen very closely. We struggle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers of darkness and high places. That's what we're up against, folks. We're up against the demonic in big time, in whatever name you want to tag them with. And the government's backing them up. They've sold us out to them. They're in bed in cahoots with them. I know that without a doubt. That's what we're facing, people. The darkness
I know that.
is coming. That's what it is. And we got to have that armor on.
Yeah.
We got to have that armor on. We got to put it on.
I know that just because of how every time we get on the subject of this, even my wife Tracy can tell you all, whenever we get on the subject of this, they start messing with our electronics. There's been times where my phone has gone haywire, where they've made it impossible for me to turn my phone back on. There's times when like today, what happened when they kicked me off of StreamYard. How can they kick me off of StreamYard when it's my StreamYard? I'm the one that's registered for it.
I know how to do it.
I know
how to do it. Yeah.
But they did. So that just shows you, that they can, they can do that. It's not it's supposed to be. They're supposed to work for us. They're supposed to work for us. Plain and simple. They can't do that anymore. Then they need to get the hell out and let somebody that's willing to do that for their people in.
That's like I said the other day. People believe I'm making this up, but this is true. When Congress, they first set the standards for Congress. The congressmen and senators were supposed to serve one term. They didn't get paid for it now. It was all free. They didn't get any money for it. They served one term and go home. That was it. You didn't do any. You didn't come back again. You didn't. That's what we should have stuck to, but they didn't let that go. They gave themselves more terms, more power, more money. That's what it's all about. But that's not the way this was set up, folks. That's not the way things were supposed to be. But they've messed it up. See, they've got it. It's just like the house casino. I've talked about this a lot. You go in a casino and you win $100. Oh, look, I won $100. You don't think about the $600 it took to get that. The house casino is going to be the winner. They always come out the winner. That's how they stay in business. And that's how the government stays in business.
Yeah.
That's how they keep it. They consolidate their power and keep it all going and make their money and live in their big houses and have parties on their yachts and laugh about it. And now they're trying to play, like I told you before, that God game. They want to live forever so they can enjoy all this stuff. That's what it's all about, and it's coming down to. But we've got to be ready for what's coming. We've got to. I can't say that enough. I think William says that a lot. Geryl said that too. We've got to be ready, and the only people that can make us ready are ourselves. Okay. Oh, you got your plants watered there, William.
Yep. She's on it. Tracy is definitely on it. That's for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, that's so. I'm hoping this.
Thank you, Sugar Britches.
Well, I don't know.
Share. Everybody shares out. We'll get out there a little bit further. People need to hear these things. People need to know this. They need to have the warning of these things. They need to hear the truth of what's really going on in this world. We need to quit blinding ourselves, like Geryl said the other day, wearing them blinders. We don't need to do that. We need to open our eyes and see what's really going on. And the more people who do, the better.
It's one thing to go through life. Yeah, it's one thing to go through life with the hope that things are going to become good, okay, and prosperous for you. But at the same time, you can have that hope, but be prepared for the worst. Okay, you don't want to ever be able to be not be able to pull yourself back up by your bootstraps. Okay, let's put it that
it's
way.
Like that. It's like that Latin saying, William, and I can't remember the Latin part of it, but it says this: "Embrace peace, but prepare for war." That's a smart person.
Yep. So there's a saying out there too that I've posted on Facebook a lot because I believe in it. It's not that you hate the enemy that's in front of you, the reason that you fight. It's because you love the ones behind you that you fight. So
you got too much to lose. You got too much of the important things to lose to flake out. That's what a real warrior realizes.
Well, we're good to have you here, Steve.
Better late than never, Stephen. Definitely. I watch. I have to condition my time out because I'm a rider too. I try to ride, but whenever I can. But the thing is, I have to go and watch a lot of shows later. I don't get to see them live, unfortunately. It's better when you see them live, but it's a good thing that you got an ability to go back and watch it so you don't miss it completely. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Kind of like having a DVR.
Yeah. Right. And I don't want anybody to think that we're preaching at them. Okay. We're more preaching for you.
Yeah.
We tend to speak up when others don't really feel comfortable with speaking up. G knows this. I mean, he's heard, G and Dennis have heard me go off time and time again about stupid stuff that when you really think about it, it isn't so stupid now that you see what's going on in the world. So no, I mean, it is what it is. It's like we've always said from the beginning, if anybody needs anything from any of us, to drop us an email, to let us know, whether it's paranormal, whether it's supernatural, whether it's cryptid related, UFO related, alien related, demonic related, whatever it is, ask some of the people in the chat. We've got some of the greatest people in the chat that can help in certain areas, certain situations. Okay, they're in the chat. Just join the family, join the chat, join the family. Like, heart, share, subscribe, follow. I mean, I just don't know what else to say. I really don't. Except this. Now that I'm thinking of it, if anybody out there feels the need, let me hold on one second. Feels the need to help out a certain somebody. Tracy, can you bring Jacob in here, please? Let me see if she can bring him in. Hold on 1 second, guys. Okay. All right. She's bringing them in. If anybody knows anything about us, we are our four-legged friends are our children. They are literally our children. And
He was just getting comfortable.
oh, you were just getting comfortable.
I just came down with Mom because
Oh
Mom's
my
been outside
goodness.
There's Big J. Big J, how you doing?
Goodness,
Hey,
you're
cousin.
just getting comfortable.
All right.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Time for face washing.
Okay. You win. I give up. You win. Okay. Anyways, with the medical bills that I have this month, we're in dire need. If anybody knows any place to get this pedigree, it's the dog food. It's the choice cuts. I mean, he eats better than I do. This is filet mignon. Yeah, he eats better than I do. I might
my
eat
boy
this.
eats Alpo, William. He likes the Alpo treats. But they've been out, we're having some kind of a weird, I don't know, there's some kind of a shortage going on with cat and dog food. I don't know what's going on with that, man. I've been having a hard time finding his, he likes a certain kind of treat, and that's it, And I'm having a hard time finding his Alpo treats. So, I don't know. It seems like every time you turn around, there's a shortage of something else all the time. Shortage of something.
Okay.
Oh, right. He's wide open today.
Yeah, I just wanted him to say hi. So,
hey, buddy.
But there he is. I know he hasn't made an appearance in a while. So, I wanted him to say hi. I'm going to put him back down so he can go back to Mom.
That's like I said earlier in the broadcast in my book. There's a special place in hell for people that mistreat animals and dogs and children and dogs and cats and stuff like that. I don't like it. I don't like to see that done because, I think God gave us these things definitely, not only as companions, but as guardians. I think that's part of our job. We should guard these innocent souls,
Yeah. And the reason I bring that up is because it's like the food for them is so hard to find anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that is. Why it's got to be that complicated to where you can't find food to keep your four-legged furry children fed. So It just makes it very, very difficult. So. But I just wanted to bring that up. That's one of the things that I get so frustrated about because, we have with the disability. I mean, Dennis, with disability and stuff like that, you don't get that much. So you have to budget yourself. Okay.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
when you plan on going to a store and getting something like with his food, and it's not there. It's completely empty. The shelf is completely empty. And you see that the delivery truck pulling away, and darn well that they didn't drop off any food because the shelf is still empty. It's like, what do you do? What are we supposed to do? I would rather.
Another thing, William. Another thing is they may have it in the bag, but they got hired nobody to put it on the shelf. A lot of times, that's the problem too. They can't get anybody to work to stock shelves,
Yeah. I mean, it's to the point now that, it's almost like I would rather go myself without eating before I let him not eat. You know what I'm saying? And, and Tracy can tell everybody this, you know, for fact too, that when it comes to my eating, I'm very selective on what I can eat because of what I was done to me. Okay. I'm not the kind of person that can go out and eat a steak, you know, I mean, or a complicated burger or something like that. You know, what I mean by complicated is like, I can't eat lettuce. I can't eat onions. Okay. I can't eat anything that'll get caught in my throat because of where the surgery was, you know. Otherwise, I would aspirate and I would die. Um, which is what's happening anyways with me. And you know, a lot of people,
by the way, William,
question.
let me say this, William. When you get older, a lot of people don't realize this, but when you get older, the muscles in your throat, of course, they become weaker, and the older people have a harder time swallowing. On other complications, that's a factor too.
And you know this from your own, you know, being diabetic, that you have to watch what you eat. You know, you have to literally watch what you eat. Yeah, you have to be careful, you know. And, you know, for everybody out there that's suffering right now from physical ailments, whether it's cancer or, you know, or diabetes or, you know, some kind of, disease, you know, it's if anybody knows what you're going through, it's me and Dennis. Okay. We have been through hell and back, with our conditions. And, you know, it makes it tough, but you know what? Sometimes they put it on people like us because they don't. It's like when I first found out I had cancer. You know, instead of blaming everything else, I had to go through a period of about 24 hours to realize I had 6 months to live. That's not an easy thing to swallow. Okay. So I had very little time to put my mind in perspective of how I wanted things to be. Okay. With both myself, medically, with my family, with the finances, with everything. And I chose to embrace it and to own it, instead of saying, "Oh no, I'm not going to die this way. I refuse to." And I did say all that too. Um, but after a while, I chose to embrace it because I would rather carry every disease in the world known to mankind before my own family was harmed with it. You know what I'm saying? I would rather take that on myself, no matter what it limited me from doing, before I would want to see another child suffer from it. You know what I'm saying? It's that kind of mentality, an imagination type of a thing that I started doing, and I chose to embrace it. And what I did when I embraced it, I come to terms with the Creator, with God, and I asked God. I said, you know, there's a lot of things in my life that I've done wrong. There's a lot of things I've done in my life that I've done good. I said, and I know my being accepted into your realm is not by my works, okay, and not by my deeds, but by my heart and by my soul. Um, I said, if you choose that I die this way, then so be it. But if I if I choose not to die this way, so be that too, you know? And it seemed like as soon as I said that prayer and I visualized myself walking out of that hospital, which technically I didn't walk out, they had to cart me out because of the policies. Um, you know, it felt like I was reborn. It felt like, you know, it felt like coming out of a dark tunnel and seeing daylight. You know what I'm saying? Um, and that's the way
It
we have
always
to look.
feels that way. It always
Yeah.
feels that way, William, when you come to an agreement with your creator.
But
You know?
that's the way everything in the world needs to feel. Everybody in the world needs to feel that. Everybody in the world. I'm not saying everybody in the world needs to be ill or needs to have disease. Okay, I'm not saying that.
No.
I'm saying that they need to realize that the darkness in the tunnel that they're currently in eventually becomes daylight. You know, that for every time that you feel like somebody has stepped on you, that individual was probably stepped on twice as much. Okay. You have to embrace that. You have to realize that, because the sooner you realize that in the situation you're in, the sooner you're going to be able to embrace the light. Okay. Plain and simple. So I don't know. And I didn't want to get off on a tangent with that, but it just, you know, the whole seedless vegetables and seedless, you know, fruit, and now the missing dog foods and cat foods that you can't find, the genetically altered meats that we're buying, you know, one minute they're out of eggs and the next they've got dozens upon thousands of eggs, you know, overstocked. I mean, to me, that is a continual manipulation of us. That's a continual, you know, the best way to get to an adult and to make an adult stand in line and conform is to get to their children, is to get
The
to
things
their
you care for.
four-legged, yeah, to get to their children, to get to their four-legged children, to get to them, you have to go through their son, their daughter, their pet, their, you know, you have to make them conform in other areas, okay, in other ways, okay, and that's the whole point of me talking about this. Is it's just another way to manipulate us and make us stand in line and conform when we can't feed our four-legged furry, you know, children, you know, whether it's a cat, whether it's a dog, you know, whether it's a ferret. I don't, you know, I don't care. I don't care. It's a way to manipulate us. Okay. There should be no such thing as empty shelves. There should be no such thing as people, human beings having to worry about food. Okay. There should be no such thing as undrinkable water. There's no excuse for it. There's none. And it's about time we hold the powers and control responsible for that. And I probably just put a bullseye right on my forehead, but you know what? It's the truth. It's the truth. We need to hold the powers that are responsible for the way we are being treated, for the way that we are not being able to eat the foods that we normally eat, for the way we are not able to take care of the pets that we need to take care of, that we love like children. You know, the way we can't, you know, we have to worry about what game we hunt if we go hunting, you know, because there's so many different wildlife diseases now out there. I lost count, you know. It's amazing the way we are manipulated to conform. And it's about time we, as the cattle, stampede. So I don't know. I'm done with my getting on the bandwagon and preaching. But I'm a real firm believer that we need
Well,
to stick
William, if they want to be in power and they want to be the top dog, so to speak, if they want the power, then they got to realize they have great responsibility with that. It's like Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. And if they want the power, they have a greater responsibility, and it falls upon their shoulders. The Bible says, to whom much is given, much shall be required. And this is what we require them. And like I agree with you 100%, they need to answer to that. They need to answer to that. If they want to be in charge, then you gotta toe the line. And like you said before, they work for us. We don't work for them. They work for us. That's what they agree to when they go into that. If I were to run for Congress tomorrow, I would have to agree I'm going to work for you because you're my boss. I'm the servant. But they don't look at it that way. It's turned around completely, and we need to hold them accountable for that in every way possible.
Geryl, you awake?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying I'm enjoying the show.
I think he's been napping a little bit over there. You've been napping a little bit, Geryl?
No, I'm just in a somber mood today, and I'm just enjoying the show. And I love the paranormal and all the unknown talk, but I really like hearing your guys' stories and how you feel about everybody, and loving everybody. And we all need to get together and share everything we can and help our brothers out. And the sooner we get back to that aspect that we need to love one another and help anybody any way you can. It doesn't have to be anything big, just little things. Just say hi, just say I love you, give them a hug, give them a smile, make their day. I mean, you just need to keep doing that every day.
Yeah. My brother Juno here, he says it's not preaching, it's called speaking the truth. Yeah.
That's true.
Anybody,
that's like I like what William always said, you speak truth and walk in respect, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And love, like you said, Geryl, is the greatest. Love is still the greatest power in all the universe.
Yeah. He is literally a Native American brother from Dulce, New Mexico. He is Juno's family to me. Okay, he is the closest thing I probably have had recently that has reached out to me that I can consider my blood. And Juno, for that, I'm very grateful to have him in my life. Very grateful. The same with everybody out there in chat. You're all my family. Tamara, Country Boy, Kester Polex, Tina, and everybody out there. Raven Creek, just Lori. You're all family to me. Okay, and just because distance and time separates family doesn't mean family can't look out for family. Doesn't mean that the family can't exist and be cohesive. Okay, to say that's a big word for me, cohesive. I don't say that word. I've said it twice today. That I've never said that word before. But anyways, hey,
a new one.
Yeah, it's like that thing I sent out today on Facebook to everybody. If you're on my Facebook page, you sent out this thing about this guy being able to fix everything. He's a carpenter, he's a mechanic, he's a plumber, he's an electrician, and the guy asked him, after he fixed his vehicle, well, where'd you learn all this? And the kid turned to him and looked at him. He goes, I grew up poor. It was either you learn to fix stuff and have it. So, That's my mentality. That's the way I grew up too. We grew up poor.
Yeah.
You fix stuff. I that's
Well, that's
just the
like
way
it's
it is.
saying, if you want it done, you got to do it yourself, and that's the way it goes.
Yeah. Yep. And thank you, Lori, for all the little please like, heart, and share, and posting our channels up for us. That means a lot. But yeah, I mean, the way things are nowadays, we need family more than anything, and family doesn't necessarily mean blood lineage. Family, being Native American, comes from the heart. It's a way of acceptance, a way of realizing that the Creator created us all to help one another, to be there for one another. And for some people that's a hard pill to swallow, because they didn't have the upbringing to where they could have that appreciation of that. They were either neglected as a child, or even abandonment as a child, and they never really had a chance to embrace that part of life. Well, now you have the opportunity. I'm personally giving everybody the opportunity. Okay. You need to embrace that, because you are part of a family now. If you've watched this podcast, if you've listened to every word spoken in this podcast, you are part of a family now. Okay. And this family is not going anywhere. Even after I'm gone, G and Heavy D will be here. You know, that sounds so cool to call Dennis Heavy D. It's like his rapper name.
Man, heavy. Real heavy, yes, sir.
It's like his rapper name, though. Heavy D.
It's either Heavy D or Captain Cool, whichever one you want to go with.
Captain Cool. All right. Well, I just, I'm done. So it's, whatever you guys want to finish it off with, is fine with me. I'm going to shut up the rest of the podcast.
Somewhere way back, we started with Black Eyed Kids. I don't know, but anyway.
Yeah, blame me.
somewhere back there, back on the other rail. But anyway, well, since it's kind of a dark subject today, I thought we'd kind of end with a prayer. If you want to do that, Geryl, you want me to do it, or whichever?
Yeah, go ahead, Dennis.
Yeah, okay. We'll do a little prayer, because it's kind of been a dark subject, and we don't want to leave people depressed or down on that. So, dear Heavenly Father, we ask today that you look down upon us, your children, that you bestow us with your blessings, your power and protection, your peace and your understanding, that you endow us with your grace and your love, that you look after us in the days that are coming upon us, that you will give us the love for our fellow human beings that we need, and the love and the connection that we need with you in our walk through this life and the trials that we may encounter. We ask that you continue to bless us and keep us in your safe hands and in your safe keeping. In the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, we most humbly pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Well, with that, I want to thank everybody for being here. You guys want to go over your shows this afternoon and evening?
Yeah. Tonight at 6 p.m. Central, we got Shane Michael Chris from West Coast Dogman Project, and that's going to be a fun show. And just can't wait for that. And then Dennis, you're on after us.
Well, I have my show on tonight at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And it'll be on YouTube with Grizzly Chris, Demonology Today. And we're going to have a little special episode tonight. We're going to be doing nothing but questions and chatting and talking with people. So come on in and bring some questions with you. I'd like to hear from you and interact with you. So that'd be 9 o'clock on YouTube. Just look up Grizzly Chris or Demonology Today. Either one will take you to the link.
Sounds good. And you can always catch us here Saturday and Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. usually. Started a little late today, but things happened kind of funky. But anyways, we're here Saturday and Sunday mornings for the Paranormal Weekend Morning Brew Show, where we just sit around and we talk about stuff like this, and the paranormal, and the supernatural. And you can catch our new show, which is a conspiracy theory program, Friday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern, which is the deep dive conspiracy theories podcast with myself and Heavy D and Mr. C, Carlito Castro, where we talk about everything. And this coming Friday, it's going to be the deep underground military bases and the Black Knight satellite. So that's going to be a very, very interesting topic. Very, very interesting. Also, we've got Midnight's Monsters, a Beyond the Dark, coming up. I believe it's scheduled for Wednesday, 12 a.m., which is technically Tuesday night. Yeah, it's not Thursday night or Thursday or Wednesday night. It's Tuesday night.
We could use military time on that. We use military time. We might really screw people.
Yeah, we probably should. Yeah, probably should. 2401.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're on there tonight, and then somewhere in the line, I'm gonna have to come back with Becoming Monsters podcast. But I would like to get somebody else involved in that too, maybe with Dennis or with G. Have one of you guys host that podcast with somebody else. So if anybody out there wants to become a podcast host, please send your applications to just drop us an email, okay? At lakotaman333@gmail.com. lakotaman333@gmail.com, and we'll do our best to get you on. Maybe you could be the one hosting the Becoming Monsters podcast for me. It's just getting to be too much doing the programming and all that, and then doing the podcast, and so and then I've got other live segments coming up too this summer, where we're going to be out into the mountains, and we're going to be walking around, just doing a little bit of this and that, and a little bit of observation as best as I can still do on what's happening around here, and even late at night like G does. There's going to be some nights I'm going to be coming on like Monday nights at like 1:30 in the morning Eastern time, watching this. I'm gonna start filming that stuff. I mean, it's
we seeing stuff last night.
You could do a show where you just walk around out in the woods called bear bait.
Yeah, I could do a show. I could just put a camera out on the house and point it at the sky and let it run 24/7 on live stream.
There you go.
So
Yeah, there was stuff out last night going in the Big Dipper. We were out back, me and Jane, and started seeing it again. I said, man, we need to get the cameras back out.
Yeah. I've got some of the old school technical stuff in my case over there. I'm gonna dust off and point it up at the sky and see what I catch. So, but it's gonna be interesting. We got a lot of interesting things going on. We have a friend of mine that is going. She's going to be coming on with her son, doing a podcast about different things. So it's going to be a very very good thorough channel.
Interesting
Yeah,
summer. It's going to be an interesting summer.
Yeah, exactly. It really is. And even if it's for the summer, it's still going to be, it's going to be worth it. At least subscribing to the channel. One thing we don't talk about a lot is the Patreon for the channel. We do have a Patreon account. And you can go to Patreon and see exclusive photographs, pictures, and video of some of the things that's going to be going on this summer. And exclusively on Patreon. It won't be broadcast on the channel at all. And then the proceeds from Patreon will go to, equipment for, like, if G needs a microphone, I can send him the money to get a microphone, or if Dan needs an extra camera, I can send him the money to get the camera, or if I need something for the studio, I can get something for the studio. That's what the Patreon is for. It's not set up for my medical situation right now. It's set up for the channel, and the channel only. So that being said, here we go. We got one right here. Look at this. Let me show you here. Hold on.
Well, come on. Here's the thing about your podcast. It's sort of like writing a book. You got to have a title for it, and you got to have a subject matter. Unless you're just going to get on there and talk. It's good to have a plan. It's always good to have a plan.
I like G's plan. Just get on there and wing it. All right, everybody. Well, I mean, Tamara, if you're serious about maybe helping the co-host Becoming Monsters, that'd be great. We'll get together and figure out a time and a night to bring that on, and because obviously it can't be on the same Friday that we have everything else on, because it'd be boom, 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 and I'd be completely out of my mind if I did that. So it would have to be like maybe a Wednesday night or a Thursday night.
We got Night Owls Lounge on Wednesdays, or Wednesday at 12:30 or early Thursday morning.
This is gonna get confusing, isn't it?
We need to make up a schedule so we all know what we're all doing.
Yeah, I've got a question. Ask you a question there, Geryl. Who tends the bar in the Night Owl Lounge? No,
whoever lives in that back wall.
Just in case I stop in, I wanted to know, if I could get special treatment or what,
You right, stop everybody. By, we'll take care of you.
The Patreon link is just Nighthawk High Strangeness at patreon.com. You can Google that and it'll take you right to it. It'll have Patriotic Bigfoot on there and a couple other things that you'll recognize. So, but it's Nighthawk High Strangeness, and you just basically Google it under Patreon and it'll pop up. So, and I'll get the link here later for the channel. But everybody, have a wonderful Sunday. Okay. Remember that, like I said, you are part of a family, and this family's not going to run on you. Okay. So take care.
cute.